Holt on just a moment. Before you instinctively shoo your feline companion off your most beloved chair once again, pause for a moment and consider the situation from their unique perspective. For you, it represents reclaiming what you consider your rightful spot, a hard-earned reward after a long and demanding day. But for your cat, that very same action could very well feel like an act of inexplicable betrayal, a disruption of their established order. Does that sentiment sound a bit overly dramatic to you? Perhaps it does. But this quiet, almost imperceptible daily struggle for territory, a scenario playing out in millions upon millions of living rooms across the world, is far more than just a cute or amusing domestic scene. It represents a head-on collision, a clash between two distinct civilizations, the human world and the feline world, each operating under its own distinct and often conflicting set of rules and expectations. We humans often think we are simply asking them to move over, to share the space. They, on the other hand, perceive something entirely different. They see the most important, the most reliable ally in their life, their constant source of warmth, food, and overall security, suddenly transforming into a perceived threat, displacing them from what they consider their personal island of stability. In this invisible war, this silent battle of wills, there is much more at stake than simply the right to a soft blanket or a comfortable cushion. What is truly on the line, teetering precariously in the balance, is trust. A fragile and delicate currency that is easily lost, often in a single moment, and almost impossibly difficult to regain once broken. So, what truly goes on inside a cat's head, what thoughts and emotions swirl within their mind, when we disrupt their peace, when we upset their carefully constructed world? Let us delve into the depths of their perception and explore precisely why what seems like a perfectly harmless act to us can, in fact, permanently damage the very foundation of your relationship with your cherished pet. To truly understand feline logic, to grasp the reasons behind their actions, we need to completely abandon human concepts such as ownership or possession. When a cat gracefully jumps onto your sofa, it is not attempting to claim it in the way a human might. It is, in fact, doing something far more crucial to its survival and well-being. It is actively expanding its security map, reinforcing its sense of safety and belonging. Imagine, if you will, a world where you navigate primarily by scent, rather than by sight, as humans do. For a cat, your entire home is an intricate, multi-layered map, meticulously composed of a complex tapestry of aromas. And the most important markers, the most significant points of reference on that map, are undoubtedly its own. When a cat rubs its cheeks or flanks affectionately against a table leg, the corner of the sofa, or even your own legs, it is not simply being affectionate or seeking attention. It is actively marking its territory, reinforcing its presence. Special glands located on their face, paws, and tail secrete pheromones, unique chemical signatures that are completely invisible to us humans but are crystal clear, like brightly lit beacons to them. Each and every one of these markings is a message that the cat leaves for itself, a constant reassurance: I was here. It is safe here. This is my territory, my domain. These scents, these invisible markers, create a bubble of confidence, a personal sphere of security. The sofa, the chair, the rug, these are not just inanimate pieces of furniture to a cat. They are strategic outposts, strongholds infused with its personal scent of tranquility, representing a safe haven in a vast and sometimes unpredictable world. Now, picture this scenario in your mind. You pick up your cat, removing it from its safe island, banishing it from its place of comfort. In its world, in its perception of reality, this is the equivalent of someone suddenly erasing key landmarks from your navigation map in the middle of an unfamiliar city, leaving you disoriented and vulnerable. You are not simply asking it to move, you are, in effect, destroying its sense of stability and predictability, undermining its confidence. You are not invading its property in the human sense of the word, but you are breaching its personal security system, making the animal feel exposed and vulnerable in a place where it should feel the most protected and secure. If the armchair represents the very center of a safe territory, then the doorway of a room serves as its boundary, its customs checkpoint, the point of transition. And here, another drama of misunderstanding unfolds, playing out countless times each day. You have most likely experienced this firsthand. A cat approaches a doorway and freezes. It simply stands or sits, seemingly lost in thought, gazing thoughtfully into the void, effectively blocking the passage for anyone trying to get through. The first thought that invariably crosses a human's mind is, it is spacing out again. Did it forget where it was going? Or is it simply doing this to annoy me, to deliberately obstruct my path? But there is absolutely no laziness or spite involved in this behavior. What we are actually witnessing is a highly trained security specialist diligently at work, performing its crucial duties. For a cat, a doorway is far more than just a transition from one room to another. It represents a boundary between familiar, vetted territory, a known quantity, and a new space that needs to be thoroughly assessed, scan for potential threats, and deem safe before proceeding. When the cat pauses right there at the doorway, it is, in fact, initiating a rather complex and intricate scanning process. Those delicate ears of its act almost like a sophisticated radar system, meticulously picking up even the slightest rustle, the faintest whisper of sound emanating from within the confines of the new room. Its sensitive nose diligently analyzes the subtle air currents, carefully searching for any unfamiliar or potentially alarming sense that might linger in the atmosphere. And those captivating eyes, those ever-watchful orbs, are thoroughly evaluating the entire surrounding environment, diligently searching for any sign of movement and identifying any potential hiding places that might offer refuge should the need arise. Essentially, what the cat is doing is conducting a rapid, yet comprehensive, risk assessment before it even considers venturing into what it perceives as uncharted territory. It's a deeply ingrained, ancient instinct, honed over countless generations, that helped its wild ancestors survive in a world filled with peril, primarily by skillfully avoiding potentially dangerous encounters with larger, more formidable predators. And what, pray tell, do we humans often do in response to this careful and deliberate behavior? We frequently try to impatiently nudge it forward with our foot, or even attempt to physically push it through the doorway, thereby rudely disrupting this, for the cat, sacred and essential ritual. For the cat, this intrusive act is akin to someone abruptly shoving a highly skilled bomb disposal expert, who is intently listening for the telltale ticking of a delicate mechanism, forward with the insensitive and dismissive words, "Just go already." We are not simply inconveniencing the poor creature, we are forcibly pushing it into a space that its brain has not yet had the opportunity to thoroughly assess and mark as safe, and in doing so, we ourselves become a significant source of stress and unpredictability in its otherwise carefully managed world. Now that we can begin to understand that the seemingly ordinary sofa is, in reality, a complex security map to the cat, and the doorway serves as a critical border patrol checkpoint, let's attempt to put these two essential elements together and truly consider what goes on within the intricate landscape of a cat's mind when we, its primary benefactor and supposed protector, repeatedly violate these invisible, yet vitally important, rules. It is crucial to remember that cats do not think in terms of abstract morality in the same way that humans do. They possess no inherent concept of fairness or right in the human sense. Their world is constructed upon a simpler, more fundamental principle: the unwavering need for consistency and predictability in their environment. The owner, the human caregiver, is the very center of their universe, the focal point of their existence. It is the being most closely associated with all of the most positive and reassuring things in their lives: the provision of food, the comforting warmth of shelter, the promise of safety, and the gentle expression of affection. A human, in essence, is a living beacon, constantly signaling to the cat that everything is, and will continue to be okay. And now, tragically, this very beacon, this source of unwavering reassurance, starts behaving in what appears to the cat to be an utterly irrational manner. The very being that should be protecting them, the one they rely upon for security, suddenly becomes a source of unexpected threat. It rudely kicks them off their carefully marked and designated safe territory, their beloved sofa. It forcibly pushes them beyond the safety of the doorway, beyond unassessed and potentially dangerous boundaries, into the unknown. In the realm of feline logic, this constitutes a complete and utter system failure. The main guarantor of stability, the anchor in their world, becomes shockingly unpredictable. Today it's lovingly petting them, offering gentle caresses and soothing words. Tomorrow it's inexplicably displacing them from their chosen spot, disrupting their carefully established routine. Today it's generously feeding them, providing nourishment and sustenance. Tomorrow it's inexplicably causing them stress and anxiety, undermining their sense of security. This alarming inconsistency, this jarring lack of predictability, inevitably destroys the foundation of basic trust that is so essential to their well-being. The poor animal simply no longer understands what to expect from us, the beings upon whom they depend so completely. This is what we, in our human language, might loosely translate as betrayal in their feline tongue. It doesn't consciously think, "My owner is bad," in the way a human might. Instead, it instinctively thinks, "The world around me has suddenly become chaotic and dangerous, and the source of this unexpected danger is the very one I trusted most to keep me safe." As a direct result of this perceived betrayal, the cat might start avoiding us, seeking refuge in hidden corners, exhibiting uncharacteristic aggression, or displaying other signs of generalized anxiety. It is not seeking revenge or harboring malicious intent. It is simply trying to survive, to navigate a world that has suddenly and inexplicably ceased to be understandable and, therefore, safe for it. So, we have now firmly established that the use of force, however well-intentioned, inevitably destroys the precious bond of trust that exists between humans and their feline companions. But what, then, do you do if you genuinely need to reclaim your favorite chair, the one currently occupied by your furry friend? The answer, thankfully, is relatively simple. Instead of resorting to the language of force and coercion, we need to patiently master the art of feline diplomacy. Your ultimate goal is not to simply drive the animal away from its chosen spot, but rather to gently and persuasively make it want to leave on its own accord, and ideally to do so happily and without any sense of resentment or distress. This may sound daunting, but it is actually far easier than it initially appears. Here are a few proven diplomatic techniques that have been shown to be effective in resolving such delicate situations. Present an offer they simply cannot refuse. This is the fundamental, underlying principle upon which all successful feline diplomacy is based. If you genuinely need a specific spot, such as your favorite chair, make another spot even more appealing and enticing to the cat. Prepare a plan B in advance, anticipating the potential conflict. For example, place a soft, plush blanket that your cat particularly loves on the sofa, but next to your chair, creating an alternative haven of comfort. Alternatively, you could bring in its favorite cardboard box, transforming it into an irresistible sanctuary. Then, instead of rudely shooing it away from your chair, gently call it by name, using a soothing tone of voice, and subtly show it the new, carefully prepared spot. You can even use a tempting lure, such as a favorite treat or toy, to further entice it to relocate. The message that the cat receives is dramatically changed from one of eviction and rejection to one of invitation and care. I'm not being evicted from a comfortable spot that I enjoy, I'm actually being invited to an even better, more luxurious place. My human cares about my comfort and well-being. Creating a positive ritual. The feline companions respond with remarkable enthusiasm to training regimens, especially when those regimens are thoughtfully constructed upon the bedrock of positive reinforcement. It becomes paramount to meticulously develop a conditional signal, a key if you will, for gently requesting that your cat gracefully vacate a particularly favored spot. This signal could manifest as a crisp snap of the fingers, or perhaps a quietly spoken word, something simple such as place or even come here. The truly important aspect is unwavering consistency. The signal must remain constant and unchanging. Upon issuing the chosen signal, accompany it with a deliberate point towards the designated alternative location, and then, the instant the cat willingly complies with your request, swiftly and generously reward its cooperation with heartfelt praise, affectionate petting, or perhaps a delectable treat. After a period of consistent application, the animal will gradually associate the sound not with the perceived stress of eviction or displacement, but rather with a comforting familiarity of a pleasant ritual and the anticipation of forthcoming pleasure. Both of these methods, though distinct in their execution, ultimately pursue the very same overarching goal: to artfully transform what might otherwise become a potential conflict into a positive and enriching interaction. In doing so, you cease to be perceived by the cat as merely an unpredictable force of nature, a chaotic and confusing element, and instead evolve into an understandable and crucially honest partner, one with whom it is always possible to reason and negotiate. Ultimately, the simple story of the armchair, or any other contested space, transcends the boundaries of a mere lesson in feline psychology. It stands as a profoundly powerful metaphor for the complex and multifaceted nature of our relationship with the entirety of the world that surrounds us. We have grown accustomed to thinking of ourselves as owners and masters, not only within the confines of our own homes, but across the vast expanse of the entire planet. We often act primarily based on our own immediate convenience, frequently without giving sufficient consideration to how our actions might affect those who are weaker, or those who lack the capacity to express their disagreement or displeasure in words that we readily understand. The cat ensconced in the chair serves as a small, furry, and ever-present reminder that the world in its vast complexity does not revolve solely around us and our desires. Understanding its often invisible boundaries, respecting its ingrained rituals and its unique language, represents the very first, and perhaps most crucial, step towards a fundamental paradigm shift in our thinking. It is a step away from the ingrained mindset of an owner, one who believes they can afford to do anything they please, towards the more enlightened mindset of a neighbor wise, attentive, and deeply empathetic. By learning to negotiate with a cat, rather than simply commanding its obedience, we cultivate a quality that humanity arguably needs now more than ever before: the invaluable ability to truly see the world through the eyes of another being, to understand perspectives beyond our own. We become not merely better owners to our beloved pets, but we evolve into better people, more compassionate and understanding members of society. And then, our home transforms into something far more profound and meaningful than just a simple apartment or house. It becomes a truly sacred space of genuine trust and harmony, where both human and cat feel not like object and owner, but rather like cherished members of a single loving family, living together in a shared, safe, and genuinely happy territory.